the price of Cardano's ADA falling, is the worst over, or are we still expecting some more pain before things start to recover? In this video, we're going to dive down into the technical analysis for Cardano's ADA to see exactly what is going on the weekly, the daily, the 8-hour, 4-hour, and 1-hour charts. Hopefully by the end of this video, you will have a good understanding as to what's going on with Cardano and what we might expect to happen next. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down to the desktop and take a look at what is going on here with Cardano. Okay guys, so we're going to start with the weekly chart. Again, this is something that we talk about quite a bit, but basically it gives us a good idea and a good understanding of the overall structure of where the bull run is heading. Okay, so it's always important that we don't just focus in on those smaller time frames, but we actually pay attention to the bigger structure and how this bull run is forming out and where we think things are likely to go. Okay, so obviously on this weekly chart, we have these 5 impulsive moves, this Elliott theory, 5 impulsive moves to the upside. A part of this is 2 down, okay, so wave 2, wave 4, okay, and although a lot of people were misunderstanding what wave 4 was, basically you have this kind of being called out as a bear market, you know, call it what you want. It was basically just this correction phase that we were in. It did last a couple of months, so you can call that a bear market if you want, but traditionally speaking, you know, anything lower than 10% in a drop is bearish, right? But in crypto, 10% is a very standard day. So here we actually had a pullback, quite a significant one, but obviously not significant enough. For a fourth wave correction could have actually been a lot worse. We could have come right the way back down to some of these much lower levels, which would have been a fantastic opportunity to accumulate ADA. Of course, it was quite a shallow correction for ADA, and actually this held out quite well. So again, the structure is actually quite a neat one, right? We can see a good push for wave 1, good push down on wave 2, a good rise with wave 3, shallow wave 4, and then a push for the upside. Set a new all-time high, then we started to hit some volatility. Okay, now this sideways trade that you see here isn't too dissimilar to what was going on down with wave 2. Okay, the only difference is we had a good spike up beforehand. Okay, so we actually set a new all-time high, then basically just pulled back and started to correct. Again, this isn't too unusual given the fact that the timings were a little bit off. This here is actually September coming down into this wave 2, right? And September is always historically the month of corrections. Now, we actually had September after a rise in August. Okay, so basically we had that pullback here in September. Now, had that actually been, you know, the bull run delayed a little bit later, and we didn't have this wave 4 until, let's say, July, then actually the September would have been a part of wave 4, and it wouldn't have been a part of wave 5. So therefore, this volatility potentially would never have actually occurred within this 5th wave to the upside. So we can argue that actually this actually extended the bull run a little bit. Okay, and obviously with everything that was going on manipulation-wise with Bitcoin could have also extended the bull run. Now, historically, when we take a look at the length of time for a bull run, we were anticipating, you know, the Bitcoin would peak out by the 20th of December based on historical data. However, there's a good chance that actually that overextends, and therefore Bitcoin wouldn't peak until the new year. And if Bitcoin doesn't peak until the new year, Ethereum wouldn't peak until after that has happened. And again, all the altcoins wouldn't have their alt seasons until Ethereum has also peaked. So therefore, we could see an extended run for the bull run, and I do expect ADA to be one of the last ones to run, at least get those absolutely insane peaks. So it's good to understand that actually this is positive news for Cardano. The longer the bull run is, the bigger and better the chance is for more dApps to launch on the Cardano ecosystem, bringing in transactional volume, bringing in demand for ADA, and obviously with a squeeze on the supply during a bull run, during the FOMO, the price will spike. Okay, so it's important that we understand that a longer bull run is good. So the volatility that we're seeing right now doesn't bother me. It just means that we're actually getting a slightly longer and extended bull run than we may have seen previously. We're definitely not slipping into a bear market. There's no need to panic. What you've actually seen with the most recent pullback is basically $800 million of liquidation because people are using leverage, and people just never seem to learn about using leverage. You'd think that this here would have been a big example of why not to use leverage, but again, you see the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, so people will gamble, and that's exactly what you see here and here. So again, that's pulled the market down. Basically, people doing long positions, and then obviously that getting wiped out by going down in price. So again, all that money flowing to the wealthy again, which is fun. So we understand what's going on. As long as we understand that the actual structure of our weekly chart is actually very good, and we are continuing this growth to the upside. Now there are a few additional positives that we need to talk about. Okay, so above and beyond the fact that we are, doing these 5 impulsive moves to the upside on this bull run. The trends of wave 2, the trend of wave 3, the trend of wave 4, right? 2 down, 1 up. This actually allows us to see a 4.236 trend extension of $11.13. Okay, so we know that the bull run has a good push to the upsides yet still to come in terms of actually going after some of those fantastic highs. In fact, we still have to even make it up to 100% here. So basically, that flat level on the trend, which would actually put it at $3.39. We haven't even made it to that point yet, let alone the 1.618, the 2.618, 3.618, and 4.236. Right, so there's lots of gains still to come with Cardano. We haven't really heated up. We're actually kind of like hitting the pause button with Cardano until the Plutus application backend is finally completed and launched, and which will basically give standardization to the smart contracts, which that will then allow these dApps to actually launch on the ecosystem. And as a result of that, that's really when things start heating up. So that's really what we're waiting for. We're hoping at the end of the month that will actually go live, and then we'll end up in a really good position. Now, the other really good thing about this weekly chart is that stochastic RSI. It's actually now in an oversold position. This actually puts it in a very good position to have good growth to the upside. Take an example of last time we were down here. We were actually at this low area of wave 4, right? Before that, we were down here in this oversold area, was at the bottom of wave 2. Likewise, last time we were down here was at the beginning of the bull run. So being back down in this oversold status is actually a fantastic opportunity to see huge price spikes and huge price rises with the price action of ADA. So again, this is actually a very good thing to see this correction come in while stabilizing around that $2 level. I know we're actually dropping down a little bit below that, trying to find good support on $1.85 right now. But this is actually a relatively good place to be, considering the positions of our stochastic RSIs. And what I'm going to do is actually just go down into our next level, our daily chart. We can once again see that stochastic is an oversold situation as well. So again, our daily chart's also looking very, very good from that kind of perspective. Here we can see a little bit more of that traction. We can see ourselves pulling down lower than the 618, which is rather unfortunate. We are finding good support on the $1.83. That's our support level there. We can see that we wicked below it, but we haven't closed below it. So again, that's a pretty good sign that things are looking interesting for ADA. Ultimately, I think the community is doing a fantastic job of buying the dip, and I'll get into why I think that in a moment. So overall, this daily chart's actually looking okay. Yes, it's frustrating that we're below the 618, and that was a good area of support. As you can see, we had wicks here and here all around holding the 618. Actually, now the 618 is a resistance line, so we are going to have to get our way, work our way back up, and I do think that is actually likely to come in the very near future. So do prepare ourselves for a bit of a push to the upside on the shorter time frames. But again, volatility is still there. Do expect us to pull back. There are still positions to be liquidated, and until they're completely liquidated, I don't expect this particular correction to be over. Okay, so we have to be aware of that. So at this point, I am going to load up the advice.io dashboard, right? The advice.io dashboard uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us understand the underlying value of cryptocurrencies. There's a link in the description down below if you're not familiar. It's completely free to sign up. And basically, you're going to get a lot more insight on your cryptocurrency. So if you're not already signed up, I do urge you guys to check it out. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Here we have Cardano's ADA. It's a B3 rating overall, which means we're almost slipping down into the C ratings. And so it's not the best position to be in. Okay, but it is still neutral on the cusp of bad. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that there is a little bit more pain here than maybe that we're willing to acknowledge, right? Specifically if you're really into ADA. Now, we go down a little bit further, we can break this into a little bit more detail, right? We have a fear and greed index that's specific to ADA. This is actually an A3 rating, which basically means it's extremely greedy. People keep buying this up in volume, right? Basically, the price is dropping and the community keep buying. Okay, that's exactly what we're seeing here from that fear and greed index. Basically, people are seeing this as a fantastic opportunity to build up a good position at a discounted rate. So where people are selling, basically there is a community of individuals willing to buy that fear, which is fantastic. Okay, so this actually shows us that the community is actually really good and really happy behind Cardano with a greedy fear and greed index. Now, what's really interesting is that Sharpe ratio has actually plummeted all the way to a D rating. Basically, it was expecting us to continue this downward trend, okay, and actually the risks outweigh the rewards. Now, I think this is a short-term thing. I do expect that to actually flip around a little bit. As you can see, we've taken an absolute nosedive below the 50-day average. Okay, and we're all the way down here at 0.05 on the chart. So this is basically, there's no way of sugarcoating it, it's saying that buying ADA right now or having exposure to ADA right now potentially is not a good idea. Now, I'm not offering financial advice. Chris doesn't offer financial advice. advice.io are not offering you buy-sell signals or financial advice. What they're doing is giving you the tools to make your own informed decisions. Now, I take a look at this, and because I believe in Cardano, I'm willing to buy the dip. I'll buy ADA at these prices. It seems like a discounted rate. But we have to acknowledge that the Sharpe ratio is indicating that actually there might be more of a dip yet to come, and therefore more of a discount to be had, and therefore we might actually find a better opportunity a little bit later down the line. So we have to acknowledge that although we are looking pretty good right now in terms of price, we could also expect to pull back a little bit deeper. Okay, and I don't think it's actually going to be too much further before this Sharpe ratio actually gets to the reversal and starts actually climbing and going above that 50-day average. I think the window's narrowing now for buying opportunities, as indicated with that stochastic RSI in the oversold status on both the weekly and the daily charts. Okay, so obviously we understand that we're expecting volatility, right? That's kind of a given, and the community keep buying up the fear, which is fantastic. The AMI had ratios of B2, so basically liquidity is okay, not the best, not the worst, but it's okay, right? Which is understandable considering volatility in the market. The moving averages have been obviously affected by the downward trend, so they're obviously quite bad with a rating of D, and the profitability is right up there as an A1 because it's performed incredibly well. It's outperformed Bitcoin, it's outperformed Ethereum, and a whole host of other altcoins as well. So again, we can acknowledge that Cardano is really profitable. It's on a discount right now. The community keep buying it up. And the artificial intelligence is potentially expecting volatility, and therefore exposure to the asset might not be something that we want. So that's kind of what advice.io is kind of trying to tell us here with this story behind Cardano. Now, when we jump back into the charts here and we actually go into that 8-hourly view, we can see that the 8-hour is also oversold. And we can find that we are holding this support level of $1.83, wicking below it, but not actually closing below it, which is good to see. We go into our 4-hourly, and this is where the story changes a little bit. We can see there's a couple of areas where we actually close below, or one particular candle that we closed below that support level. And we can see that the stochastic RSI is actually up there, heading towards the overbought area. So this is the volatility that the AI is predicting, or is kind of suggesting is what is going on. We've got to lower the 4-hourly stochastic in line with our 8-hourly stochastic RSI, the daily stochastic, the weekly stochastic, right? So the 4-hourly one is actually overbought. But we come back into our hourly, it's oversold, right? So there's one chart that's not quite ready or not quite aligned to the others yet to see this thing actually start to move. So my expectation is that we're going to get a push to the upside on our hourly chart. Okay, we're going to gain a little bit of momentum. We're probably going to bounce off of our support level of 183, probably push up to that 618 again, which would put us at about $1.90, and then pull back. Okay, we're looking to wipe out that 4-hourly stochastic RSI and the hourly stochastic RSI in the next couple of probably days, right? We want to see that kind of move happen. Once we've wiped all of that out and we're actually completely oversold across all those charts, the sky's becomes the limit for Cardano. So there's the opportunity here to see this thing potentially wick back down into some of these lower areas. Maybe we actually do come back down towards that $1.75, being the optimum kind of opportunity for purchasing up ADA. Okay, so right now that's my expectation, to kind of see a small push to the upside on the smaller time frames, maybe going after that $1.90. And then pulling back down slightly heavier than maybe we would have liked to have seen it. But again, the volatility is still there to see us actually reach some of those lower areas to buy that dip, buy that fear for the last push to the upside that will come after. So I do think that we are on the cusp of some pretty interesting times. The Plutus application backend going live hopefully at the end of the month is going to be a huge trigger for Cardano price action that is going to see Cardano potentially push way past a lot of its resistance lines and absolutely go insane up towards some of those targets that we have on our weekly chart. So if we actually bring our weekly chart back up here again and just bring this back into view, Again, we are talking about moving up into some of these really key areas, right? $4.87, $7.26, $9.65, $11.13, right? These are the key areas for us. Again, this is the optimized model. We can be, of course, conservative and actually take a look at these ones with topping out at $7.22. Okay, and that's our conservative model. So again, so many price, kind of predictions slash kind of expectations that are associated with ADA, but a lot of it actually pivots on having that Plutus application backend, getting the standardization to the smart contracts, and allowing these applications to launch with the minimal amount of effort on their part. Okay, so a lot kind of going on in the background. Once it's done and dusted, we should start seeing a steady rise in the price of ADA over the next couple of months. As I said, an extended bull run is good news for Cardano, and therefore I am pretty happy with the kind of price action that we're seeing right now. Understanding that we are going up, we're not pulling down, this isn't bearish, it is literally just a liquidation move, and as a result of that, we get a discounted rate on some of these assets. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this video useful, informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.